Hey y'all, hi. I'm here today with my full review of two Lisa Eldridge products, both of which are new to me, but one of which just launched and the other of which launched, I want to say like 9 months to a year ago. The new product is the Pinpoint Concealing Pencil, and the less recent, but still relatively new to her brand, launch is the Seamless Skin Enhancing Skin Tint, and I have it in the shade T1.5, which is the light olive shade, and I think that this color might have actually launched after the initial launch of the product. If you're new to my channel, then welcome. I'm Hannah. I hope you'll subscribe if you like it. I also am the published author of a prize-winning book of poetry, which I'll link at the top of the description box down below. And let's get into the meat of the video. All right, I've been testing these products rigorously for like well over a week, every single day, testing them in different ways, trying to make them work. One of them is a complete flop for me, and the other one is a spectacular smash hit success. And I want to start with the good, so we'll start with a smash hit. And that is, surprise, surprise, because I hate skin tints and I love Pinpoint Concealing, the skin tint. It's so good. It feels small. The bottle feels small. When I first pulled it out, I had seen Lisa holding it up on camera. I had seen it in the imagery online. And when I opened it, I was like, this is a miniature. It felt really small to me. Now that I've been using it for over a week and you can't pry it from my cold, dead hands, it feels more appropriate. Like I've gotten used to it, I guess, but I just wanted to let you know. When I first took it out, I was like, this, like it's little. Of course, the bottle's beautiful. It's plastic. It's pretty lightweight, but I think it's super well designed. Easy to shake, easy to dispense the product. So the first serve is the color. When I reviewed Lisa Eldridge's foundation way back when it first launched years ago, I struggled because though there were shades that went pale enough for me, they were all either too pink or too yellow, a classic problem for me with foundations. Almost no one in the industry offers a very, very pale olive foundation, but Lisa, after the fact, like after the initial launch of the original foundation, added that shade to her foundation. She added it to the foundation range, and a lot of you who are also pale olives say that it's a great color. I didn't like the foundation. It wasn't just the color. I had other issues with it, so I wasn't compelled to go back and spend the like $68 or whatever just to try out the new shade. But in this case, because I hadn't tried the product, I was really excited to try the shade. So here it is next to the Rose Ink Concealer, now discontinued Rose Ink Concealer in the lightest shade, which is extremely neutral, like grayish neutral, but not exactly olive tinted, more of just a true grayish neutral at a very, very pale value. And you can see that the Lisa Eldridge has more actual olive in it, right? It's greener, but it's not that much darker than the Rose Ink. And these are wet swatches, and I know that this Rose Ink Concealer darkens and oxidizes a little as it dries. I'll let it dry and then we'll take a look. So, it's not the exact perfect color match when you put it next to what I consider to be the paradigm for a makeup shade that matches my skin really well, but it's in the realm. And I'm also intrigued that it's doing something a little bit different from what I'm used to at this lightness, which is giving us true olive color, like really green, really grayish green color. And on my skin, it's just fantastic. I have some footage of myself applying it the way that I started applying it when I first got the product, because here's what I did. I didn't watch Lisa's launch video of this product or the Pinpoint Concealer. I didn't watch anything. Nobody else's reviews. I didn't watch her because she's so elegant and compelling. She's so knowledgeable, and she pours so much of herself into her products that I just want to love them. Like when I watch her talk about everything that's great about them, it makes me predisposed to think that they are perfect. And I wanted to come out the products from just a neutral place and kind of see how I got along with them before I let Lisa and her brilliance and her charm like infiltrate my thinking. I then did go and watch her videos just to make sure that I wasn't doing anything wrong or to like understand how she intended the products to be applied. And I did learn some things, like the difference between what I was doing just going on instinct and what she says to do. They're there. There are differences there, and I'll talk about that. But just so you know, this is what I was doing before I had looked into what she recommends. What I would do with just any random skin tint that I got. I was squeezing some drops onto my face, what turned out to be a lot of product compared to what Lisa recommends, and then going in with a brush to blend it. So maybe 3 drops. In the footage, it's quite a lot, like a little more than I've been using in the everyday, but I kind of wanted to show you what it's capable of in terms of coverage. I've been using the Refer LCO3, a synthetic brush that's pretty fluffy to blend it out, and I really love love the results I'm getting with that, and I love how quick and easy it is to apply and blend out and immediately cancel the redness in my skin. I think that the green in the color in the product is basically doing what a green color corrector does for me, and also giving me the coverage that a concealer or a skin tint usually does. So with the Rose Inc concealer and other products like it, I usually use a little bit of green color corrector and then go in with a concealer. I feel like with this pale green skin tint, I'm getting that color correction and then a little bit of coverage all in one step. And it just works so well. You can really see that my face was quite red compared to my neck. And then just with one layer of several drops of this product buffed out with a brush, pretty much my face matches my neck. Now, in the launch video that I watched, Lisa talked about basically her gripes with most of the skin tints on the market, which is that they tend to just be really lightly pigmented, like not give you enough coverage, don't set down, and they tend to be really warm because it's like, oh, we're tinting, let's bronze. So she wanted to keep the colors closer to the colors of actual skin and give us something sturdier and with more pigment, more buildable pigment. That's totally what this is. It doesn't do any of the things that I hate about skin tint. It's not streaky, it's not difficult to get coverage, it doesn't stay damp all day. In fact, it passes the fingerprint press test onto the face, which her foundation doesn't do. I find this much sturdier and longer wearing and more dependable of a product than I found the foundation to be when I tested it back in the day. It's like, this is what I wanted the foundation to be, especially if you use a good amount and then build it. So in that application footage, I then put more on and you can see how incredibly buildable it is. Basically built up to a foundation level coverage, but with a really beautiful finish. In her video, Lisa kept saying it's soft, like it feels soft. And that is totally true. To me, I would say it feels like dry, like it dries down and it's sturdy. It still has a kind of softness, a kind of the softness of skin, but it doesn't stay tacky. It's soft and dry. In this case, are like the opposite of lotiony, tacky, serum-y, basically. It doesn't feel serum-y, but there's a lot of skincare in it. I think in her video, she said it's like 70%, 75 or 80% skincare, and then the rest is these like blurring pigments. And it's just, it all combines for me into something that works brilliantly well, like brilliantly well. It's the perfect skin tint. It's what I want skin tint to be. It's what I've always wanted it to be. When I imagine a tinted serum, when I think about how I want it to perform, the fantasy, when I purchase the fantasy online of all what other brands have put out of this type of thing, this is the fantasy that I'm wishing that the brand would deliver, and then it never does. But Lisa, she delivers the dream product. I can see myself using this until it's gone. And if I continue to use it in the way that I used it instinctively, like a bunch of drops on the face, directly onto the face, and then a brush, it might go kind of quickly. Maybe not though, because even 5 drops, it doesn't feel like all that much of what's in here. You know, it feels like it'll last and last. But I learned when I watched Lisa's launch video that she recommends 2 drops on the back of the hand and then applying it with your fingertips. So today I tried it like that, and I have footage of that. Just a note, I had already used the Pinpoint concealer because I was trying it in a different way. I feel like I've tried it every way under the sun because I was struggling with it so much, but we'll get to that in a second. When you see me applying this product with my fingers onto my face, you might see that I had already Pinpoint concealed. Like I'm applying it onto a concealed face. But I went in with just 2 drops and I went in with my fingers. First of all, I wasn't able to cover my whole face in 2 drops in the way that she was in her launch video. Maybe I just have like a giant face compared to Lisa Eldridge, but to me, I needed 4, maybe like 4.5 drops to really get a single layer of coverage all over my face using my fingertips like that. And it took a lot longer than the brush, and I felt like I had to go in with a brush when I got to the areas around my nose. Like I just was trying to like tap it all over my nose just with my fingers, and grabbing the fluffy brush and just brushing all around, it achieved my aims around my nose much more quickly. For me, it's if you have a lot of time, and this is going to be a theme, the second part of the video, if you have a lot of time to sit there and go like inch by inch, which I think Lisa does when she's doing makeup on her clients, because she's a makeup artist, right? So a lot of time is set aside, even if she's just trying to achieve a natural, I mean, usually she is going for an incredibly natural look, which I love. I love her aesthetic. I love her makeup aesthetic. I love what she does on her channel, on her face, on her clients, on her models. It's pretty much what I'm also always going for. But, you know, when she sits down to do that, she has a lot of time to make it exactly perfect and just tinker. And so if fingertip application is the best way and you can keep going kind of drop by drop, building, tapping until everything is perfect, balancing, tiny bit here, tiny bit there until everything is perfect, then yeah, maybe it would would be the preferred way. Maybe it's slightly more perfect, and maybe you would need slightly less product to get the coverage. Just a couple of drops, and then if you go that meticulously, you can get the coverage. But I don't have that much time on a daily basis to do my makeup, and I don't really have the patience if I'm not coming on camera or going out to like an event or to see people or something. You know, if it's just a regular day where I'm either just working at editing at home and I just want to get a little coverage on my face, or if I'm just going out to the grocery store or going out to run errands or something like that, it doesn't feel like a priority to sit there with my fingertips like tapping, perfecting, and going back and forth, tinkering and making it just absolutely impeccably, undetectably, flawlessly perfect. I would so much rather have the drop brush technique, which to me looked just as great. Really just looked so good. I've been so thrilled with the way my skin's been looking using this product, and it takes like 2 seconds, you know? So I would much rather do that, even if it takes a little more product and maybe the brush eats up a little product, or I end up kind of dragging it down my neck a little bit. To me, it's just better. It's the way, and it's the way that I'll continue to use this product. Tried it with my fingertips. I tried the like 2-3 drops at a time method, and I wasn't as enthralled by it as I am with the brush method. So here are the almost dry swatches. The rose ink is pretty much dry. The skin tint is almost dry. You can see that the rose ink has darkened in color so that they're pretty much exactly the same value, but it's gotten a little pinker, a little bit more peach as it's dried, whereas the Lisa Eldridge skin tint still has that grayish green. It's almost like the rose ink concealer mixed with a tiny drop of green color corrector, which is like my dream color. So this I love. I could see myself buying it again. I'll continue to use a brush with it. I don't ever want to be without it. Like if I was traveling tomorrow, it's what I would take. It is amazing for taking on the go. This little spaceship, this little sculptural capsule, it has totally sold itself to me. That said, this I cannot get along with, and I was expecting, or I was hoping to love it in the face of all of the concerns about price, because, you know, most criticisms of this have been the fact that it's so little product for so much money. The NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer, which is the product that I use for spot concealing, that I have been using for spot concealing for years. This is a little bit more than 6 grams of product. The Lisa Eldridge Pinpoint Concealer is 0.4 grams of product, literally a fraction of the amount of product. The NARS concealer and most concealers have, you know, many more times the amount of product of this. Almost possibly the thing that I love the most about Lisa Eldridge is her dedication to spot concealing, her pinpoint concealing technique. It's exactly what I feel like I sort of have arrived at after all of these years, and I love how well she describes it and demonstrates it for the masses. I love that she's a champion of it, has kind of innovated it, and she describes it so well. She explains so well how to pinpoint conceal and make it blend in and make it look really natural. Because we're so aligned in that way, and because I'm so appreciative of that and just respect her work in that realm so much, I was really hoping to be like, this is the perfect tool for that task. It's going to be worth it for some people, because if you really just want the best tool for the job and, you know, you have like a makeup budget, it'll probably sort of even out, and maybe you're spending a little bit more on concealer than you would otherwise be, but maybe it's worth it because it's the perfect tool for the job. Like I was hoping to sort of dampen the fires a little bit of like the freak out over the price point. To me, it's not even the price point that is the issue. I thought it was the formula. I think that it's actually the delivery mechanism of the formula, the fact that it's a pencil. And I totally understand why it's like this. It's so tempting. It feels so much like it would be a great tool. It's just like you go in with a pencil and scribble, scribble, scribble. It almost has like Apple Pencil vibes, like you're using a digital pencil to actually Photoshop your face. I think it kind of makes you feel physically, viscerally when you look at it online and when you see Lisa using it, like you're going to be able to do that with it because it's a pencil. Like you're going to be able to Photoshop your face with it. And even the language that she used in the launch video kind of supports that fantasy. I have had such great success with pinpoint concealing with a little pencil brush that I was kind of ready to believe that that fantasy could become reality. But to me, it just hasn't with this. It just hasn't. And maybe it has for some people, maybe if it's like you're working with different foundation products, but I'm using it with the Lisa Eldridge skin tint. I've been testing them together. Maybe if you have a different skin type, but I have dry skin and the slick oiliness of this has been the problem. Maybe for some people it'll work, but it's a little bit hard for me to imagine it working better than a brush for spot concealing. To me, there is just no better tool than a brush covered with a really good high coverage blendable concealer. There's no better tool for the job of spot concealing than that. So the issue that I've been having with this is it has to hold its shape, right? So it's a stick of product and it's a gel formula, creamy gel formula. So it has like this slidiness. So when I go in, even when I've let the skin tint dry for a good long while, at first I thought the issue was that it was going in on top of the skin tint and it wasn't fully dry yet because it felt like I was going onto a wet surface. I would go onto a little spot, scribble, 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 tap, 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 which is what I do. I didn't watch her launch video initially, but it turned out that what I was doing instinctively is what she recommends doing, right? So scribbling all over, making sort of a jagged shape and tapping with the fingers, it felt like I was scribbling on sort of a damp, slick surface and it was hard to get the pencil to stick. And then when I tapped, it would tap it all away. The blemish would be once again revealed. So then I would scribble a little harder, blur the edges, and maybe get a little bit more coverage, but then the blemish would be once again revealed. It just felt like it wasn't a full enough coverage for my blemishes or scars or anything. It felt like I was trying to use a sort of a sheer gel pencil to conceal red marks on my pale skin, and I just couldn't cover them up. I couldn't cover them up. It kept sliding away, tapping off, not working. So I tried that several days in a row, sort of, again, different manifestations, like going right in on top of the skin tint, letting the skin tint dry for a while. Sometimes I would go in like later in the day when the skin tint had really set in. I'd been like living in my makeup for a while, and I would go in with this and try to freshen up my makeup. I was always having the same problem. It was like drawing directly on skin with the little tiny skinny stick of creamy gel product itself sort of cancels out the act of gently adding coverage and building coverage on top of a spot or a scar, which is to me the act of spot concealing that I do when I have a brush loaded with product and the bristles are every single bristle, all of the bristles working together, swiping product on in like a gentle, soft way. It's just, that's a better tool than a hard stick for this meticulous job. So that was how I was feeling before I had watched her launch video. Then I watched it, and her passion for how full coverage this is and how waterproof it is, because I was just feeling like the issue is that it's not a sturdy formula. I was like, this formula is a sheer gel cream. She doesn't talk about it that way. Lisa says it's full coverage. It's incredibly sturdy. You can work out in it. You can swim in it. She's just going on about how heavy duty it is. So that inspired me to try going in on bare skin, because I was like, maybe it's just not working for me layered on top of product. Now, this is really throwing the product a bone, because in the launch video, I was thinking maybe she was going to say something like, oh, by the by, it's probably not ideal on top of my skin tint because it'll make it more slippery or something like that, because that's the issue that I've been having. But no, she talks about using it on top of the skin tint pretty much exclusively. So, I was like, let's try it on bare skin with just a bunch of kind of like that plumped skincare that's a little bit tacky, just to make my skin as grippy as possible and give it the best possible chance of really gripping. I did that, and I demonstrated that today, so I have more B-roll footage of me applying it in that way. I finally got the coverage that she's talking about applying it onto bare skin. I also had to press really hard and use a lot of product in order to get that. I was inspired by what she said to be like, okay, well, let's see what this thing can do. Really pressing hard, really scribbling, really trying to get that coverage. Then I still had to blur with my fingers, soften the edges with my fingers, go in on top and do another layer to really build up coverage, especially on active blemishes. In the process of doing that on my whole face, I was twisting up the pencil multiple times. So now we're running into the issue of the amount of product. Even if it weren't so expensive, even if it was $10 or something, it's just going through the pencil so fast because I use quite a bit of product to really get full coverage on spots that I'm spot concealing blemishes. I feel like even she is using a lot of product in her demonstration video, just going over and over, and must be using a pretty decent amount to get the full coverage on blemishes that she's getting on her models and all of those images. So it's just setting aside the issue of cost, which is just, some makeup costs a lot and is luxury and some doesn't. This is a particularly outsized example, you know what I mean, of cost per gram, but kind of setting that aside, it's not even to do with the cost per gram. It's just the amount that you get when you buy one. When you buy one, the amount that you get to me for the job that's being done is not enough. And I could see myself going through it really, really quickly. And even if I had all the money in the world and I could just buy as many as I wanted, it still would feel like a bad balance, a bad choice, because I would be unwrapping a new one every week and a half or 2 weeks, I started having that experience. And then I was like, well, let's try it it with a brush. These are all of the other ways that I was trying it, just to see if I can get the formula to work for me. If the delivery mechanism is like the only issue, but the formula really is as glorious as she says. I was like scribbling it on and then using the brush to buff out the edges. That was better than only using my fingers and the pencil. Going in with the brush directly onto the tip though, because it's a little bit hard so that it stays in the pencil shape, it was not as effective. Like it did not as much transferred to the brush. What I'll say though is that using a brush with it, that was the best result that I got in terms of satisfaction, like my ability to cover my spots, just getting it to do what I wanted it to do and feeling like it was working for me. Using a brush was the absolute best way to do it, but it wasn't very satisfying to touch the brush to the tip of the pencil. It felt awkward. And going straight in with the pencil on my skin and then using the brush around that also had the same problem, which is like the hard tip of the pencil kind of wears away what's there. Whereas if you load up a brush with product, like I do with the NARS with a brush, you can go on a little more gently and it transfers without disturbing what is underneath. But to get a lot of product on my skin to actually cover, I had to like go kind of hard and it was like working against itself. I feel like the temptation to put it in a pencil because of the optics of that, the covetability, the fact that it's kind of unique to the market, except for that one from Jones Road, but that it's, you know, not a usual type of concealer, to release like a Pinpoint specific concealer. And then she's, I think, going to release some others like a liquid or something else. But to have the Pinpoint one be like a pencil with a point, just how exciting and aligned that is. I think the temptation of that ended up overshadowing what is to me a cold, hard reality, which is that a brush is the best tool for spot concealing. For me, I mean, Lisa, I believe her that she was saying, I wish I had had this when I had a lot of acne. This is what I needed. We're just not having the same experience. And, you know, she's the famous makeup artist, right? But I also am a passionate spot concealer who's been doing it for years and who really wanted to love this product. For me, there is just no tool better than a little tiny pencil tip brush for the task that this product is trying to do. It would probably be amazing if it was mashed into a little jar like the NARS one, because it is really stiff. It's stiffer than the NARS product, and I can feel how long lasting it is, how waterproof it would be, which the NARS one isn't like that. You know, it's hard to find a concealer like that. That's cool. I'm really into that quality. And if it was mashed into a little jar, it would probably be amazing. Maybe I'll mash it into a little jar and see how that goes. It's not. It's in this pencil, and the pencil kind of makes it harder to use with a brush, which is to me the ideal tool. I just got frustrated. I ended up every day after the first couple days being like, I have to use a Pinpoint concealer again. And then always looking a little blotchy. That's the other thing. I like ended up looking a little blotchy every day because I just can't get it to work for me as well as I would want. And it might, again, be that issue of just time. Like I have a large blemish here, but I also have all of this scarring and like shadowing around here. And if I took the time to use this product to cover each one of those, all of those little shadows and scars, it would just take so long, right? And so I do it with the pencil, like scribble, scribble, scribble. I feel like it's giving me nothing. I'm like, go girl, give me nothing. I'm buffing out the edges and it's still not really concealed. Like it's better, but it's still not really concealed. And so then I have to do that again, and then having to do that again and again in every one of those places. It's just, I don't have time for that on a daily basis. Whereas with the one that I usually use with a little brush, I can just load it up one time with product, the NARS, and then like cover every little spot, lickety split, right? Because it's creamier, and then buff out that entire area with my finger, and it's so full coverage that it's all covered. And like that's taking me 2 seconds, you know what I mean? But to get that kind of coverage on areas of my face like that have multiple little shadowed spots, to get that kind of coverage with this Lisa Eldridge pencil, it just hasn't felt worth it to me. Even on the couple of days that I really dedicated myself to trying to do it and to taking the time to try to get it done, I still didn't get as good of a result as I do with a brush. I just couldn't get it to really be fully covered the way that her models look. So we have a hit and a miss. I'm absolutely delighted to be able to report, and this is like always how it goes with me with Lisa Eldridge, that there's something truly amazing and like something that really aligns with my perception of her as being someone who's meticulous, who really cares about what she's doing, who's designing products from the ground up, innovating, and then giving us something we can't get anywhere else, right? Something that really follows through on that, which is the skin tint. I mean, you could say all the same things about this. It's just that it's not working for me. Thank you so much for spending spending this time with me. Let me know if you have gotten this pencil and it has worked for you or it's been great for you. Let me know. Also, of course, if you have had an experience similar to mine, let me know. I haven't watched anything else except Lisa's launch videos. I did click on Wayne Goss's clickbaity video that was like, it's a no from me, Lisa, about the pencil. Because I was like, oh, Wayne Goss is a makeup artist. Maybe he will also have an issue with the fact that it's like this slidey gel formula that doesn't stick to things and like you have to put on all these layers and it's very difficult time. I had a fantasy because I had seen Wayne Goss's video and I was like, okay, I'm not going to watch that until I've been testing this for over a week. And I have also watched Lisa's video because I didn't want to be influenced by him. But then after I had done that, I watched it. I had this fantasy in my head that he would be like saying all the same things about the formula that I have just said. And instead he was like, the formula is amazing. The product's great. I love Lisa and it's too expensive for how much product you get. The video was like 2 minutes long. So, you know, I haven't seen anyone else having an issue with the actual product and being like, I can't get this to work. A spot concealer is better when it's in a little pot and not a pencil and not a gel, a creamy gel. Help. You know? So let me know how your experience has been. Again, thank you for being here. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.